Hi guys, so for back pain, there's two things you need to do. One is you would obviously identify the muscular weaknesses and imbalances you've got going on, and then do the right corrective exercises to fix those problems. The other side of the coin, or the other side of the story that you've got to really look at, which if you want my honest opinion can be a difference between success and failure for most cases, is you've got to look at the activities and the movements that you do that sensitize the back to pain. Because if you can remove those from the equation, you're going to find it a lot easier to do the exercises and get a much far quicker turnaround in terms of results. So what I do today is I want to cover probably one of the most common ones that I see, which is also probably one of the easiest to fix, and that's kind of tension in your lumbar, your lower back from excessive sitting, and what we can do to help fix that. So what I do is I'll go through the strategies to help improve that. And then for those that are interested, just after that I'll go into a bit more depth as to the reasons why and how that relates to the kind of the pain that you've got with your lower back, especially if you've got that kind of sharp, take your breath away pain. Okay, so when you're sitting there, sat down in a chair, in a normal position, although I'm not too rounded here, I am there, is to kind of sit in that compressed, rounded state, which is going to aggravate your back to no end. So what we want to try and do is have a relaxed back, slightly arched, sitting back posture. But what we need to do is we need to support that lower spine. So what I've got here is a rolled up towel. That's probably your number one go-to in terms of ease of use. And that slight leaning back posture, that lumbar support, that's a beautiful position for the spine to be in and not get aggravated. If you haven't got a towel to hand, the other thing you can do, if it was a reasonable sized cushion, similar idea, give that lower back a bit of support so she can sit back and stop it from aggravating. It's a very simple fix, but be amazed if you're consistent with it, make a massive difference. A bit more information on the reasons why. So back in the 70s and 80s, there was a doctor called Vladimir Janda, who did a lot of work on kind of rehabilitation, especially with the spine, and he came up with two phrases. One was upper cross syndrome, and the other was lower cross syndrome. So upper cross syndrome, a lot of people have heard of, especially if they've been to a chiro and osteo, is we have that kind of rounded forward posture. The upper back is kind of rounded, almost like a human C shape. But more importantly, for what we're looking at here, he came up with the term lower cross syndrome. And one of the effects of that is that your lower abdominals are very weak and inhibited, so are your glutes, but then your hip flexor muscles, specifically your rectus femoris, which sits on the front there, gets very, very tight and very dominant. So if you've ever been in that position with back pain, where you get that sudden sharp, it takes your breath away, and either you collapse to the floor, or you have to grab something and kind of steady yourself, and that back's really like any slight movement, it just kind of tenses and takes your breath away. That's basically what's going on. So I have my own back problem, and one of the reasons why the chiropractor that I saw at the time couldn't fix me was that although I was trying to do exercise to try and dig myself out of the hole, a lot of my aggravators were still there, which for me specifically was sitting down with that kind of lower back rounded. So that was constantly aggravating my discs, aggravating the nerves, and then what I discovered is that when you are right on the edge of that scale, at the extreme end of the scale, when you keep aggravating that nerve, it keeps setting off these hip flexors, the muscles at the front of your thighs, to grab hold of your back and keep trying to grab you all the time and try and take your breath away. Even the simplest of tasks, just bending forward to the sink, to brush your teeth and rinse your mouth out, that will set it off. Sit on the couch with your lower back a little bit rounded for more than about a minute, or that'll set it off. So like I said, what you've got to do is you've got to try and remove the aggravators that and give you back a bit of capacity so you can start exercising properly, or you've got more capacity to dig yourself out of trouble. So that lumbar support, really important because it stops that kind of cascade, that kind of continual cycle of those hips grabbing hold of your back and ripping you to pieces. But it's got to apply to every time you sit down, not just in the office, but when you sat on the couch, when you sat in the car, sat on the park bench, wherever it is you're to be, you've got to have that lumbar support just to let that back settle. And what you'll find is that once it's settled and you get on top of the McGill Big Three, which is the McGill Curl Up, the Side Bridge and the Bird Dog, once you get to a reasonable standard with those, there's you'll have a bit more capacity and a bit more leeway to be a little more sloppy with the lower back posture, and it won't bite you in the ass straight away. Although what I would say is that I would be vigilant at all times and minimise it, because you're going to get yourself out of trouble way, way quicker. So that's your number one tip I'd say for today, is, you know, look at that lumbar support. Either use a rolled up towel or a cushion like I have, or you can buy some as well. Especially the inflatable ones are very, very good. I'll put some links below the video. But yeah, you've got to minimise that. If that's when you're aggravated, you've got to minimise it. Save that capacity and that the back settles, that you can start doing all the exercises to dig yourself out of trouble long term.